Arizona prosecutors are refusing to extradite a murder suspect wanted in New York. Rod Al-Mansouri is in custody for allegedly stabbing two women in Arizona. He is also suspected of murdering a woman at a hotel in New York. But Maricopa County prosecutors say they do not trust New York's Attorney General, Alvin Bragg.
Having observed the treatment of violent criminals in the New York area by the Manhattan DA there, Alvin Bragg, I think it's safer to keep him here and keep him in custody so that he cannot be out doing this.
Let's bring in now Jessica Levinson to sort this all out. She's a CBS News legal contributor and a professor at Loyola Law School. Jessica, we hear sometimes about different countries who are fighting to have suspects extradited. I can't recall at least the case of a state not wanting to extradite a murder suspect, at least in my lifetime. Does Arizona have the right to do this?
So it looks like they do. I'll say a couple of things here. One, I don't think the reporting doesn't indicate that New York has formally requested. There is a very specific process that you have to go to and go through and say, extradite this person, and here's why, and here's the criminal indictment, and these are the charges, so please send them our way, and or we will go get that person. So right now, I frankly think this is more of a political discussion, or at least a forward-thinking hypothetical discussion. But if New York does in fact say, we want this person to be extradited, then I've looked at the extradition clause of the Constitution, I've looked at the federal statute, and there are charges pending in Arizona. And I don't think that New York can force Arizona to say, sorry, we'll go ahead and take a back seat because you asked. Now, if there were no charges pending in Arizona, yes, then they have to, again, with very limited exceptions, they then do have to send that person to New York where they will face criminal charges.
But that's while charges are pending. So in some cases, it becomes a question of order. If Arizona's finished with their trial and they've brought those charges, those two stabbing charges against the suspect, then if New York said now he needs to face trial for murder in our state, would Arizona be under an obligation to send him?
So I think then that this becomes a question of reading the Constitution and the statute, which talks about one state being able to keep somebody who is under a request to extradite while they serve their sentence. Having said that, I think the question would then be, depending on the length of the sentence in Arizona, would New York be facing a statute of limitations problem? Because New York, for very understandable reasons, wouldn't want to miss the opportunity to charge somebody, for instance, in this case with murder, because they serve such a long sentence in a different state. There's also an interest in just having these cases come to a resolution more quickly when the evidence is still fresh.
Very interesting. I want to zoom out and get more of the political picture, because you said in many ways this is a political discussion. We heard from Maricopa County that they felt like Alvin Bragg, and he was singled out specifically for not being hard enough in their view on crime. Bragg's office pointed out that New York's murder rate is half that of Phoenix's. How are these politics playing into this, and how does it go into that larger picture of red states versus blue states when tensions seem to be at an all-time high?
Well, I think the question in so many ways is the answer, right? This is all a big political statement by a Republican official to a Democratic attorney general. And this is all about red versus blue. This is all about trying to embarrass Alvin Bragg. And I think that we do need to remember that these are two elected officials with very different visions of the criminal justice system. And if there was an obligation that Arizona had to send somebody to New York, then the comment of, well, we just don't think it's safe there, that would not hold legal water. That's a political statement. It's a political argument. And frankly, it's meant to have you and I talk about it, to have a more national conversation about the different ways that they are handling the criminal justice system.
Does this potentially benefit that murder suspect, Mansouri?
I don't know in the sense that he's facing very serious charges in two different jurisdictions, and we would have to play out the likelihood of conviction in each different state for each of the separate charges, I think, to know in which scenario does he enjoy a benefit.
All right, Jessica Levinson, very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.